let's judge these banned cards and see if they're worthy of being pulled off the list or not. Hey there, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Can This Card Be Unbanned? So before we get into today's cards, there's a few things I want to talk about. So first and foremost, right before going to get photos for today's video, I noticed and realized that they didn't only categorize them alphabetically. They also did it by typing. So the only ones I've been doing so far have been main deck monsters. Yay. So I went through the list and caught up with the others alphabetically. So that's what we're going to be doing now, going up from A to the letter D as far as what is on the list for the other cards. So the next thing I want to talk about is there's a bit of information regarding a couple of cards that I will put on the screen from Tenebrae 17. Tenebrae 17. And the first one that Tenebrae mentioned was about Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. And to be honest with what this person put down, yeah, I understand completely. Yeah. Considering Flow isn't the only deck that can access the full power of Barrier of the Stormwinds. And the other thing that this person mentioned was a bit more information about Ancient Fairy Dragon. Now, I didn't actually know that it actually did more than just what the game, the anime showed off doing. So the fact that they hit it because of its generic field card search is quite something. And honestly, one of the very good things that they did in terms of banning that card. So yeah. And then and then after that, the last one to mention was about Cybersign that Mr. Sam the Fan had talked about. And yeah, that is another thing about that card, is that you just can do anything and everything with that card. It's just, it has to get a major nerf to have it see play outside of just it continuously being banned. So yes. And the next thing I want to talk about is the cards that have been mentioned so far. So we have a few comments about suggested cards. Now, one of these I knew right off the bat that was going to be brought up, which was Pot of Greed, which was mentioned by and Mitch Gilbert 6894. That will come up when it does come up. I have that in mind. So yes. And from the Snake 1445, this person mentioned both Graceful Charity and Guardian Dagger Elma. It's actually named slightly different, but the idea is still there. And you know what? We might cover that one today. Actually, funny enough, we will be covering that one today, but in just a bit. So, yeah. And that's the only thing I wanted to talk about before we jump into today's cards. So, with that out of the way, let's go into today's cards. The first one for today is Brilliant Fusion. So this is a continuous magic card, and its effect is when this card is activated, fusion summon one Gem Knight fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your deck as fusion material, but change its attack and defense to 0. If this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. Once per turn, you can discard one spell card. The monster special summoned by this card's effect gains attack and defense equal to its original attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. You can only activate one Brilliant Fusion per play. Now, this card was banned because it had another card in play as well, and I don't know if that card is also still in play. That was a fusion card. Oh, crap. I forgot which Gem Knight it was. But as far as Brilliant Fusion is concerned, either they would have to have it would have to have a heavy nerf to it for the card itself to see play again, as most of these, sure, this does not have inherent protection, but I don't see you really needing inherent protection for this kind of card. But getting back to what I was about to say, in order for this to get unbanned, it would have to get an errata to the point where it would affect the fusion monster that gets special summoned from this card in some heavy way, to where you have to use it in only particular means. But in the way that it's treated right now, if it gets unbanned, it would instantly see play, and it would not last for too long. Maybe one rotation, and it would be put back on the ban list. So just to say it right now, no, I don't think this one can be unbanned without errataing it to oblivion. So yes. All right. So the second card for today, funny enough, is Butterfly Dagger Alma. So Butterfly Dagger Alma is an equipped magic card, and the effect of the card is the equipped monster gains 300 attack. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard while equipped, you can return this card to the hand. Now, back when this came out, I don't recall it being too much of a hassle, but although... Okay, so it just created an endless loop. So the card created an endless loop, and that was the major problem with Butterfly Dagger Alma. Now, the other cards don't actually do that. This is the only card that ever did something like this. Now, there are some pesky little cards that do deal damage if met with the correct circumstances. And I don't recall if that was something you can actually do, but whatever. Now, as far as this card is concerned, I would say it would have to get a nerf. It would have to be a once per turn, or it would have to say, if sent back to the hand by this card's effect, the next time it would be destroyed, it would be sent out of play. That would be the only thing I could see with making it eligible for being pulled off the ban list. And when and if they did that, I could see it being at one copy per deck. But in its current form, and the ability for it to be attached to practically everything. Oh, or it could have to be a guardian monster. Just put down the flavor text, can only be equipped to guardian monsters. And then, bam, right then and there. I can see it being unbanned and put at 1 copy per deck. However, in its current form, I would say no. So it would have to get an errata before getting pulled off the ban list. And only at 1 copy per deck. So, yes. The next card let's talk about for today is Card of Safe Return. So, Card of Safe Return almost looks... It almost functions identically to the anime counterpart, where it's... it activates when a monster is special summoned from the graveyard. Now, in the anime, it was brought back to either side. Now, I don't know if this was specified in any rulings or not. So, what is Card of Safe Return, before we get into ruling this one for unbanning or not? Well, Card of Safe Return is a continuous magic card, and its effect is, when a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, you can draw a card. So, in the anime, it was used by Strings, and the whole idea was that he could protect himself with Jam Defender. I believe that's what the monster was called. And he would be able to continuously draw cards. Now, until the Pharaoh had figured out the little scheme, he was actually kind of in the corner, and then he turned the whole thing around by continuously having Slifer use his second mouth on Jam Defender, and it ended up with Strings decking out. So, yes. Now, as far as figuring out whether or not this card can be unbanned, in its current form, I would definitely say no. And the main reason is there are archetypes that thrive off of special summoning from everywhere. But more importantly, of course, the graveyard. Now, in terms of getting this card into a situation where it can be unbanned, I would honestly say it would have to be eroded in such a way that it can only be activated a certain number of times per turn. And honestly, I would say either twice or thrice per turn. It all depends on how much of a problem it can be at thrice. Twice I can see being kind of safe, but still kind of there. Not as much of a problem as just taking it off the list altogether. So, yeah. In its current form, no. With errata to the point where you can only have so many cards being pulled from the deck, yes. I can see it being pulled off the ban list with an errata at 1. At 1 card. Considering we have so many cards that can already do that. Have one being tied to special summoning from the graveyard at 2 or 3 cards is safe, honestly. Pun intended. So, yes. Now, the last card for today is Chaos Ruler, the Magical Dragon. Now, Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. Jeez, what a mouthful of words. It is a level 8 Synchro Dark Dragon monster effect, whatever, with an effect. And its effect is, if this card is synchro summoned, you can execute... If this card is synchro summoned, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add 1 excavated light or dark monster to your hand. Also, send the remaining cards to the graveyard. You can banish 1 light and 1 dark monster from your hand and or graveyard, except this card. Special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, once per turn. Oh my goodness, that was quite a bit. Ah! Okay, so first and foremost, this monster works similarly in terms of... Oh, wait. Okay, so this monster, I believe, was banned thanks to its ability to set up other monsters that actually thrived off of having light and dark monsters in the graveyard. And light and dark are, I believe, the number 2 attributes for monsters. So, yeah. Also, with it being level 8, it's an easier monster to bring out than, say, lower level monsters, especially with this kind of effect. So, to be honest, with it having the top 2 most prolific attributes for its effect, I would say with the current format and what its effect actually is, it would have to be heavily nerfed for it to be able to see play. And I'm not sure what kind of effect would it be, kind of errata it would have to receive for it to even be considered to be pulled off the ban list. And even then, it would be just 1 copy. But in its original form, I would definitely say no. No, 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 no. But yeah, I don't know what kind of errata it would have to receive to be pulled off the ban list. I really don't. Other than... No. Actually, the other cards that weren't added to your hand, I can see them doing an errata to where the extra cards get banished instead of sent to the graveyard. That would limit the amount of bodies that you could pull for other monsters. And it would also limit the amount of times that you could bring Chaos Ruler back from the graveyard. But I don't know if that would work out well. Anyways, that is going to do it for me today. If you have any suggestions about Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, in terms of an errata, go ahead and put them down in the comment section below. We will talk about it next time. So, until then, everyone, have fun dueling. Goodbye.
It's time to duel!